What happens when a single woman becomes the living symbol of a nation for more than 70 years? On September 8, 2022, the world stood still as news broke that Queen Elizabeth II had died at the age of 96. Millions gathered in silence. Thousands waited through the night just for a few seconds to say goodbye. And an era that had defined modern Britain came to an end. But why did her passing affect people so deeply? And what made Queen Elizabeth II one of the most respected figures in modern history? Today, we're looking back at the remarkable life, legacy, and final farewell of the woman who became known simply as the Queen. For 7 decades, Queen Elizabeth II was a constant presence in a rapidly changing world. She witnessed the end of empire, the rise of television, the birth of the internet, the moon landing, and the digital age. Through wars, political upheavals, family crises, and historic transformations, she remained a symbol of stability. In this video, we'll explore how a young princess unexpectedly became queen, why her sense of duty earned worldwide admiration, and how the extraordinary farewell following her death revealed the profound impact she had on millions of lives. Let's get into it. The young princess who never expected the crown. Few people realize that Elizabeth was never originally expected to become queen. She was born in 1926 as the daughter of the Duke of York. Her future seemed relatively ordinary by royal standards. Everything changed in 1936. Her uncle, King Edward Wide, abdicated the throne, creating a constitutional crisis that shocked Britain. Elizabeth's father became King George VI, and suddenly the young princess became heir to the throne. The experience left a deep impression on her. Watching her father shoulder the immense responsibility of rescuing the monarchy shaped Elizabeth's understanding of duty. It taught her that the crown was not a privilege. It was a lifelong obligation. That lesson would define everything that followed, and it became clear to the world on her 21st birthday, a promise that defined her life. In 1947, while on a tour of South Africa, Princess Elizabeth delivered a speech that would become one of the most important moments of her life. She pledged that her entire life, whether long or short, would be devoted to the service of her people. At the time, few could have imagined just how literally she would keep that promise. 5 years later, tragedy struck. King George VI died unexpectedly in 1952. Elizabeth was only 25 years old. A young wife and mother suddenly found herself Queen of the United Kingdom and head of a global commonwealth. Many wondered whether someone so young could handle such enormous responsibility. History would provide the answer. For the next 70 years, she never stepped away from the role. Not once. The longest reign in British history. Queen Elizabeth II's reign became the longest in British history. But the extraordinary length of her reign tells only part of the story. The world around her changed beyond recognition. When she became queen, Winston Churchill was prime minister. Television was still a novelty. Many British households didn't even own a phone. By the time of her death, people carried powerful computers in their pockets and communicated instantly across the globe. Yet despite these dramatic changes, the Queen remained remarkably consistent. She understood something important. People often need stability during uncertain times. Whether Britain was celebrating triumphs or facing crises, she provided continuity. Many historians believe this was her greatest strength. She evolved with the times without abandoning the traditions that connected generations. And that balance earned her respect far beyond Britain's borders. The Queen behind the crown. Publicly, Queen Elizabeth was known for her composure and discipline. Privately, those who worked with her often described a very different side. Former prime ministers frequently spoke about her remarkable ability to listen. Every week, she held private audiences with the prime minister of the day. These conversations remained completely confidential. Prime ministers came and went. The Queen remained. Over the course of her reign, she worked with 15 British prime ministers, from Winston Churchill to Liz Truss. That gave her something few leaders possess: perspective. She had witnessed decades of political successes, failures, crises, and recoveries. Many former prime ministers later admitted that her advice, questions, and observations were often invaluable. She rarely told politicians what to do. Instead, she helped them think more clearly. That quiet influence became one of the monarchy's most important yet least visible functions. duty above everything else. If one word defined Queen Elizabeth II, it was duty. Throughout her life, she placed service above personal comfort. She carried out thousands of official engagements. She traveled across the world. She represented Britain during moments of celebration and tragedy alike. Even into her 90s, she continued working. Those closest to her often remarked that retirement was never truly an option in her mind. Unlike many public figures, she viewed her role as a lifelong commitment. That dedication inspired admiration from supporters and critics alike. And perhaps nowhere was that devotion more visible than in the final years of her life. Even after the death of Prince Philip, her husband of more than 70 years, she continued fulfilling her responsibilities. The personal loss was immense, yet she continued serving. It was exactly what the public had come to expect from her. The day and era ended. On September 8, 2022, Buckingham Palace released a statement that instantly made headlines around the world. The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. Just a few words, but they marked the end of an era. For most people living in Britain, Queen Elizabeth II was the only monarch they had ever known. Her death felt deeply personal, not because everyone knew her, but because she had always been there. Many compared it to losing a member of their own family. Crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace, flowers piled up by the thousands. Across Britain and throughout the Commonwealth, people struggled to imagine a world without Queen Elizabeth II. And then came one of the most remarkable public responses in modern history. The cue that became history. As the Queen lay in state at Westminster Hall, something extraordinary happened. People began lining up to pay their respects. Then more people arrived, and more. The queue eventually stretched for miles. Some waited more than 12 hours. Others waited through the night in cold weather and rain. Yet very few complained. Why? Because for many, it wasn't simply about seeing the coffin. It was about saying thank you. Strangers spoke to one another. People shared food, stories, and memories. Many described the experience as unexpectedly uplifting. The queue became a symbol of national unity, a final act of respect for a monarch who had dedicated her life to public service. Charles takes the throne. As Britain mourned, another historic moment unfolded. The crown passed immediately to King Charles III. The transition was seamless, reflecting one of the monarchy's oldest principles. The crown never stands vacant. Even amid grief, continuity remained. In his first address as king, Charles paid an emotional tribute to his mother. He praised her devotion, her service, and the example she had set throughout her life. His message captured what many people were feeling: sadness for what had been lost, gratitude for what had been given, and hope for what comes next. The legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. So how will history remember Queen Elizabeth II? Not simply as Britain's longest reigning monarch, not simply as a queen, but as a symbol of stability during one of the most transformative periods in human history. She witnessed extraordinary change while remaining a constant presence. She represented duty in an age increasingly focused on individual ambition, and she showed that leadership is not always loud. Sometimes leadership is quiet consistency. Sometimes it's showing up every day for decades. And sometimes it's dedicating an entire lifetime to something greater than yourself. That may be her greatest legacy of all. Queen Elizabeth II's life stretched across nearly a century of history, but her impact reached far beyond politics or royalty. For millions, she represented service, resilience, and a sense of continuity in an ever-changing world. Now I'd love to hear from you. What do you think was Queen Elizabeth II's greatest achievement during her 70-year reign? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more royal history, royal news, and fascinating stories from behind palace walls. And stay tuned, because in our next video, we'll explore how King Charles III is reshaping the monarchy in the post-Elizabeth era. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.